It's time to find out
What Shane
said with Shane Manila.
Hey, welcome back to another Shane Says. So I don't know about you, but I like certainty. I like things that I know. So when I get answers, I'm happy as a clam. And that's what I think we have through the first 3 weeks of the fantasy football season. I think we have some answers. In fact, I have three things that without a doubt we know, at least I know, three things without a doubt absolutely cannot be disputed, I think. First off, Malik Nabers, he's a top 5 dynasty and real life wide receiver. Really, if you go on KTC right now, he's the wide receiver 4. In PPR scoring, my dude is the wide receiver 2. He's scoring 22.8 points per game. He is only bested by A.J. Brown, who's scoring 22.9 points, but he played one game. Small sample size. I know 3 games is a small sample size. One is smaller. Check the math. It does check out. He is first in the league with 384 air yards, and he ranks 3rd in percentage of team air yards. He's 2nd in target share. He's 3rd in ADOT. He is 5th in receiving yards. His 114 routes run ranks 6th in the league. And just a quick note. Roma Dunze ranks 3rd in the league with 128 routes run. Just putting that out there. Don't give up on Rome. He had a great game last week. Hopefully more to come. He might be your arbitrage because Malik Nabers is a little expensive, but we'll get to that in a couple minutes, maybe another minute. So just for fun, I wanted to compare Malik Nabers to the 2 greatest rookie wide receivers in the last, I'll say decade, but definitely in the last 5 years. Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson, but specifically Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase was an absolute monster his first season, so I thought this would be a fun comparison. So I went to the Fantasy Life Utilization Report just to look up some things. Nabers has a target per route run of 32% through his first 3 games. Jamar Chase, through his first 3 games, had a targets per route run of 21%. Nabers' target share, just talked about it, it's 38%. Chase's was 24%. Nabers has 58% of his team's air yards versus Chase's 50%. Points per game, Nabers 22.8 points per game versus Chase's 18.9. I don't want to bore you. I also looked up the numbers for Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson's numbers were worse, not bad. I just put that out there in comparison, relative. His numbers were worse than Chase's, and Nabers absolutely dusted him. So what you really want to do, though, if you don't feel like looking at all that, really, I could have started here, but I probably needed to elongate this a little, and I wanted to beat the point home of how good Malik Nabers has been through 3 games. You go to the Trinity score on DD Fantasy, and if you have not signed up for DD Fantasy, go do that right now. I'd say sign up for the GOAT tier. You get all the access to the website and the Discord, and you get all the premium podcasts that Discord members get. But that's neither here nor there. Back to the Trinity score. Nabers. His Trinity score right now is 8.63. A high-end wide receiver 1 generally scores, hits a rate of 7.5 on the Trinity score. Again, Nabers is 8.63. That is a full point over what you need to be a wide receiver 1. Justin Jefferson's Trinity score through his first 3 games of his career, 6.5. Jamar Chase, 7.6 through 3 games. All that said, Malik Nabers is an absolute stud. And I am a proponent of buying high if you think the price is going to keep rising. The problem is Malik Nabers' price right now is so high and so cost prohibitive, I don't know a path to buy him. Now, I just looked at some of the trades on Dynasty Trades database. Looked those up today, trades made in the last couple days. There's a couple that are okay. I'd be more than okay making. But then there are trades like Roma Dunze and 225 firsts and a 26 first for Malik Nabers. It's a little much for me, even in a start 9, which that is. There's another one. This one's probably a little more tenable. Not probably, definitely a little more tenable. Hopefully I'm using that word correctly. This person gave up DK Metcalf, a 25 first, a 26 second, and a 27 first So you're spreading that out. That one first isn't until 2 years. Well, technically 3 years because that's how math works. It's 2024. But 2 more rookie classes after this one coming for Malik Nabers. And they got some plus back. They got Brian Robinson and a couple thirds. That's not a bad deal. That's actually a very good deal. I'd make that deal. DK Metcalf, 25 first and a 27 first and a 26 second. Then another deal that I would be okay, more than okay with, James Cook, and I love James Cook, and a 25 first for Malik Nabers. Then we have Malik Nabers and Bryce Young for Joe Mixon and Brock Purdy. Again, another deal that I'd be on board with. Then Malik Nabers and Amon-Ra St. Brown. I do prefer Malik Nabers over ARSB, but I don't know if that's how I want to go about getting him. But generally, that's the type of deals I'm seeing are much closer, to the Malik Nabers and 3 first-round draft picks. Malik Nabers for Rome Odunze and 3 first-round draft picks. That's a little out of my price range. I don't think I could make that. If you could use picks from 26 and 27 as opposed to 2025, and you're cool with paying the deposits for 26 and 27, cool, make the deal. It's a lot. You know your leagues. It's probably not something that I would do in a start 11, start 10, start 9. We'll think about it. But again, it's really about getting those picks pushed out if I'm going to do it. Another way you might have to do it is just getting creative. Maybe you tier down from an elite QB and upgrade at wide receiver while you're doing it. Wide receiver, you can maybe upgrade from G-Dub. Maybe you go from CJ Stroud to... not Geno Smith, probably a level above that, right? We don't want to go down that far. I mean, CJ Stroud's ranked 3rd on KTC for whatever that's worth. But maybe another high-end quarterback closer to the 10 range. I tried. Did not work, but I tried. CJ Stroud and G-Dub for Anthony Richardson, who's not has not had a good start to the season, and Malik Nabers, which is sitting out there. But something like that, something get creative, see if you can down tier at quarterback and upgrade at the wide receiver. That brings me to my second point, quarterbacks. For, as long as I can remember in this Superflex game, myself and many others have been preaching, it's Superflex, bro. You need quarterbacks. You need elite quarterbacks to win. Maybe that's not true this year. Maybe not last year either. Matter of fact, it wasn't last year. I just want to go through some numbers, and we're using fantasypros.com, right? The elite scoring, or at least the elite quarterback tier, is scoring less than they used to, meaning that they aren't the needle movers that they used to be. In 2022, we had 3 quarterbacks that averaged 24 points per game. We had another 6 that scored at least 20 points per game. In 2023, we had 1 quarterback score 24 points per game. We had 5 that averaged 20 points per game. 2024, scoring's down, I get it. We'll get to that. In 2024, we have 0 quarterbacks, 0, averaging 24 points per game. We have 3 quarterbacks averaging 20 points per game. I know it's early. It's a 3-game sample. But the scoring does seem to be trending down. For example, this year's QB 12, Joe Burrow, after a very nice Monday night loss. Joe Burrow is a QB 12 averaging 16.9 points per game, 16.9 points per game. That would have been the QB 18 in 2023, and in 2022, that would have been the QB 17. Now, I know, again, scoring's down everywhere. I'm worried about the high-end scoring. Just for context, scoring is down everywhere crowd. Scoring is down everywhere crowd. There are 3 wide receivers that averaged 20 points per game in 2022. 5 did it in 2023. This year, there's 4 wide receivers averaging 20 points per game. That's slots right in between 22 and 2023. And just a little more context. Running backs. In 2022, there were 2 running backs that averaged 20 points per game. There was 1 in 2023. And thus far, again, I know it's 3 games. There are 5 running backs that are averaging 20 points per game. And tight ends. No, tight ends suck. Tight ends are just absolutely terrible this year. They are god-awful. My point being, elite scoring at the QB level is down. If you built your team around elite quarterbacks, they're not giving you the bang for the buck that you needed. Maybe you need to go elsewhere and look elsewhere. Speaking of elite QBs, we're going to get to my third point. Absolutely no doubt about it. 100% not debatable. It's undebatable. Maybe. Patrick Mahomes isn't elite. He's not elite. You want to yell at me? Yell at the wall. I'm not hearing it. He's not elite. Not in fantasy, at least. In real NFL, the dude's won 2 Super Bowls in a row, and he'll probably win this year, too, if we're being honest. He's the greatest quarterback in the history of football. Get that out of the way, so I said the nice things about him, so that the people in the comments don't call me names this week. Great quarterback in real life. But over his last 19 games, in his last 19 games, that's 16 games last year in 2023 and 3 in 2024, he has been a QB1 9 times. Sounds great, right? That's a little less than half. It's like 47% off the top of my head. Probably wrong. But all QB1s aren't created equal, right? Really what we want is elite QB1 weeks, like top 6. Those are the ones that win, right? Josh Allen weeks, Jalen Hurts weeks on a good week. But that hasn't been the case. During those 19 games, Mahomes has finished as a top 6 quarterback twice. Twice as a top 6 quarterback. So the other 7 times he's been a QB1, he's been the back half of that. That's not elite to me. It's consistent, I'll give you that. It's not needle moving, though, and that's what you expect from Patrick Mahomes. He's been the QB2 8 times over those same 19 games, and he's been a QB3 2 times. QB3. Patrick Mahomes, a QB3. Bananas. Anyway, his QB finishes since last year's bye. It's been 10 games, not including this past evening against the Falcons. And for what it's worth, he didn't have a great week. But he's finished as the QB 15, the QB 8, 16, 20, 14, 16, 25, 12, 14, 12. Not a top 6 finish to be found. Not a 1. He's finished as a QB1 3 times in the last 10 games or so. 10 games, not or so. Sorry, I'm being exact. He's finished as a QB1 3 times, which is 30%. That's how math works. He's been a QB2 6 times. And a QB3 once over the past 10 games, excluding against the Falcons. And he didn't have a great game there. I just didn't feel like adding the math at the end here. So 70% of the time, Pat Mahomes, over the last 10 games, has been a QB2 or worse. And again, that's 10 games. I gave you the larger sample over 19 games. That's a full season and 3 games this year. You can say the sample size is small. That's fine. You can disagree with me. That's fine. Maybe he still holds the dynasty value. I don't know. Try to trade him and see. But that's my point. I think it's time to cash out on Mahomes' name because the production is not matching what the name says it should be. Mahomes, we think top 3, top 4 quarterback every year scoring. Elite QB1 weeks. We're not getting those. We're getting some QB1 weeks, but a majority are the back half of that. So again, that's the 3 things that I absolutely know without a shadow of a doubt that cannot be debated. I think Malik Nabers is a top 5 dynasty and real life wide receiver. We don't need, or we can't bank on elite QB play to save us. And Patrick Mahomes is not elite. And this is not clickbait. I'm just going off the numbers. Remove Patrick Mahomes' name and let's call him Baker Mayfield. Or how about just an anonymous Joe Smith? If Joe Smith gave you these numbers, would you say he's elite? Just think about that. So appreciate everyone watching. Hit me up in the comments and look forward to speaking to you. And hey, like I said, join DD Fantasy, join the GOAT tier, join our Discord. Premium content. I'm not going to lie to you, man. We put out so many podcasts on a weekly basis. We got you covered from every angle. Injuries, waivers, old waivers, trading, polls, So many great podcasts, so much great conversation in the Discord. So go ahead and join DD Fantasy. Talk to you later. Bye.